Here's something that might surprise you. The tomato is the single most popular plant in American home gardens, beating out every other vegetable by a mile. And there is a good reason for that. One healthy tomato plant can pump out anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds of fruit in a single season. Yet most people walk into a garden center, drop a small fortune on seedlings, fancy fertilizers, cages, and bags of soil, and still end up with sad, sickly plants by August. The truth is, you don't need any of that. You don't need money. You don't need a green thumb. And you definitely don't need anyone's help. With a few clever tricks and some stuff you are probably already throwing in the trash, you can grow more tomatoes than you know what to do with. So let's dig in. Number 1, grow free plants from store-bought tomatoes. Before you spend a dime on seed packets or seedlings, take a look in your kitchen. That tomato sitting on your counter is basically a packet of free seeds waiting to happen. Slice one open, scoop out the seeds, and you'll notice they're coated in a gel-like substance. That gel actually contains a chemical that prevents the seeds from sprouting too early, so you'll want to remove it. The easiest way is to drop the seeds and gel into a jar with a little water and let it sit for 2 or 3 days. This is called fermenting, and it mimics what happens naturally when a tomato rots on the ground. Once the good seeds sink to the bottom, rinse them off and let them dry on a paper towel. One thing worth knowing, many store-bought tomatoes are hybrids, which means their seeds might not grow into a plant identical to the parent. But more often than not, you'll still get perfectly good, fruit-producing tomato plants for absolutely nothing. Heirloom varieties from a farmer's market will give you even more reliable results. Number 2, clone new plants from suckers. This trick feels almost like cheating, and it is one of the best-kept secrets in gardening. Tomato plants are incredibly easy to clone, which means one plant can quickly become 5 or 10 without costing you a cent. As a tomato grows, it sends out little shoots in the joint where a branch meets the main stem. These are called suckers. Most gardeners pinch them off and toss them anyway. Instead, snap off a sucker that is about 4 to 6 inches long, strip the lower leaves, and stick it in a glass of water on your windowsill. Within a week or two, you will see white roots forming right out of the stem. Once those roots are an inch or so long, you can plant your new tomato directly in the ground. It is an exact copy of the parent plant. It is free, and it grows fast because it is already mature. If your first plant is healthy and productive, you can keep cloning it all season long. Number 3, plant them deep for stronger roots. Here's a tip that costs nothing but makes a massive difference, and most beginners get it completely wrong. When you plant a tomato, you should bury it much deeper than you think. Tomatoes have a unique ability that very few plants share. Those tiny, fuzzy hairs you see along the stem can each turn into roots when they are buried in soil. So instead of planting your seedling at the same level it was growing, dig a deeper hole and bury 2/3 of the stem, pinching off the lower leaves first. The result is a plant with a huge, robust root system. More roots mean the plant can pull in more water and nutrients, which translates directly into a sturdier plant and more tomatoes. If your soil is shallow or rocky, you can even dig a shallow trench and lay the plant on its side, gently bending the top upward. The buried stem will root all along its length. It is free, it is easy, and it gives your plant a serious head start. Number 4, use containers you already own. You absolutely do not need to buy expensive planters or raised garden beds. Tomatoes are happy to grow in just about anything that holds soil and has a way for water to drain out the bottom. Take a look around your house and garage. 5-gallon buckets, old storage totes, plastic coffee containers, paint buckets, even a sturdy reusable shopping bag will all work beautifully. The one rule is drainage. Drill or punch a few holes in the bottom so water doesn't pool and rot the roots. A good general guideline is that each tomato plant wants at least a 5-gallon container to spread out in. Bigger is always better because a larger volume of soil holds moisture longer and gives the roots more room to grow. Before you spend money on anything, check what you've already got. Chances are your future tomato pots are sitting in your recycling bin right now. Number 5, make free compost from kitchen scraps. Healthy tomatoes are hungry plants, and the best food you can give them is something you're already producing every single day for free. Your kitchen scraps are gold. Vegetable peelings, fruit cores, coffee grounds, eggshells, and yard waste like grass clippings and dead leaves can all be tossed into a simple pile or bin in a corner of your yard. Over a few months, microorganisms break it all down into dark, crumbly compost that is packed with the nutrients tomatoes crave. You don't need a fancy tumbler or any special equipment. A basic heap works fine. Just try to balance your greens, like food scraps and fresh grass, with your browns, like dry leaves and cardboard, and turn the pile every now and then to keep it breaking down. Mix a few handfuls of finished compost into your planting hole and spread more around the base of your plants. It feeds the soil, holds moisture, and costs you nothing but the scraps you'd otherwise throw away. Number 6, feed them with banana peels. Don't toss that banana peel in the trash because it's one of the best free fertilizers for fruiting plants like tomatoes. Banana peels are rich in potassium, and potassium is exactly the nutrient tomatoes need to produce strong flowers and big, healthy fruit. The simplest method is to chop up a peel or two and bury the pieces a few inches deep near the base of your plant when you first put it in the ground. As the peel breaks down, it slowly releases potassium and a bit of phosphorus right where the roots can reach them. You can also dry peels out, grind them into a powder, and sprinkle that around your plants, or simply toss them into your compost pile. However you use them, you are giving your tomatoes a nutrient boost that would otherwise cost you money at the garden store, and you are keeping food waste out of the landfill at the same time. Number 7, add crushed eggshells for calcium. If you've ever grown tomatoes before, you may have run into a frustrating problem called blossom end rot, where the bottom of the fruit turns dark, sunken, and leathery. This happens when the plant can't get enough calcium to the developing fruit, and eggshells can help. Eggshells are made almost entirely of calcium carbonate. Rinse them, let them dry, then crush them up as finely as you can and work them into the soil around your plants or into your planting hole. As they slowly break down, they add a steady supply of calcium to the soil. Now, here's the honest part that most videos won't tell you. Eggshells break down slowly, so they work best as a long-term soil booster rather than an instant fix. The real key to preventing blossom end rot is consistent watering, because calcium can only travel through the plant when there's steady moisture in the soil. Use those eggshells to enrich your dirt, but pair them with regular watering, and you'll keep that ugly rot away. Number 8, recycle your coffee grounds. If you brew coffee in the morning, you're sitting on another free soil amendment without even realizing it. Used coffee grounds contain nitrogen, which is the nutrient that powers all that leafy green growth your tomato plants need early in the season. The best way to use them is to add them to your compost pile, where they break down and blend with everything else. You can also work a thin layer directly into your soil. The key word there is thin, because piling on too many grounds can actually mat together and block water from soaking in. One common myth worth clearing up. People often assume coffee grounds are highly acidic, but used grounds are actually close to neutral after brewing, since most of the acid washes out into your cup. So don't count on them to dramatically change your soil's pH. Just think of them as a free, gentle nitrogen boost that your tomatoes and your worms will both appreciate. Number 9, mulch with whatever you've got. Mulch is one of the most powerful free tools in your gardening arsenal, and it does a whole list of jobs at once. A layer of mulch around your tomato plants locks moisture into the soil so you water less often, keeps weeds from sprouting, and helps keep the soil temperature steady. The best part is you do not have to buy a single bag of it. Grass clippings from mowing the lawn, dried leaves you raked up in fall, straw, pine needles, even flattened cardboard or sheets of newspaper all make excellent mulch. Just spread a 2 to 3 inch layer around the base of each plant, leaving a little gap right around the stem so it does not stay soggy. Mulch does one more sneaky thing that really matters for tomatoes. When you water or it rains, soil can splash up onto the lower leaves, and that soil often carries disease. A good layer of mulch acts as a barrier, keeping those splashes down and your plants healthier all season long. Number 10, water deeply and consistently. This tip is completely free, and it might be the single most important thing on this entire list. The way you water your tomatoes can make the difference between a struggling plant and one overflowing with fruit. Tomatoes do far better with deep, thorough watering a few times a week than with a light sprinkle every day. When you water deeply, the moisture sinks well below the surface and the roots follow it down, creating a strong, drought-resistant plant. Shallow daily watering does the opposite, keeping the roots near the surface where they dry out fast. Consistency is the magic word here. Wild swings between bone-dry soil and soaking wet soil are what cause those frustrating problems like cracked fruit and blossom end rot we talked about earlier. Aim to keep the soil evenly moist, water in the early morning so the leaves dry out during the day, and always water at the base of the plant rather than overhead. It costs nothing but a little attention, and your plants will reward you for it. Number 11, prune the suckers for bigger harvests. Remember those suckers we used to clone new plants? Pinching them off the plant you keep in the ground is another free way to boost your harvest, as long as you're growing the right kind of tomato. Here's the distinction that shows you really know what you're doing. Tomatoes come in 2 types. Indeterminate varieties keep growing taller and producing fruit all season, like long vines. For these, removing some of the suckers directs the plant's energy into making fruit instead of endless leaves, and it improves airflow, which cuts down on disease. Just pinch the small shoots off with your fingers while they're young. Determinate varieties, on the other hand, grow to a set size and produce most of their fruit all at once. You should not prune these heavily because every stem counts toward your harvest. So before you start pinching, figure out which type you've got. Done right on the correct plant, pruning gives you bigger, healthier tomatoes for the simple cost of a few minutes of your time. Number 12, build free supports from found materials. A loaded tomato plant gets heavy, and without support, the branches sprawl on the ground where the fruit rots and pests move in. But you do not need to buy those pricey metal cages. Look around and you will find everything you need for free. Sturdy tree branches and fallen sticks make perfect stakes. Just drive one into the ground next to your plant and tie the main stem to it loosely as it grows, using strips of old t-shirts, torn fabric, or twine so you do not cut into the stem. Old broom handles, scrap lumber, leftover fencing, and even an old wooden ladder can all be repurposed to hold your plants upright. If you have a fence or a wall nearby, you can train the plant to climb it. The goal is simply to keep the fruit and leaves up off the soil, where they get better AIR flow and sunlight and stay away from ground-dwelling bugs. A little creativity with scrap materials saves you real money here. Number 13, hand pollinate by tapping the flowers. Here's a fascinating fact that works in your favor. Tomato flowers are self-pollinating. meaning each flower contains everything it needs to turn into a fruit all on its own. They do not rely on bees the way many other plants do, but they do need a little movement to release their pollen, and you can provide that for free. Out in the open, wind does this job naturally, gently shaking the flowers so the pollen drops where it needs to go. But if your plants are in a sheltered spot, on a covered patio, or indoors, the air may be too still for good pollination, which means fewer tomatoes. The fix takes about 30 seconds. Once your plants start flowering, simply give the stems a gentle shake or lightly tap behind each cluster of blooms every day or two. Some gardeners use the back of an electric toothbrush held against the stem because the vibration mimics the buzzing of a bee perfectly. More pollinated flowers means more fruit, and it does not cost you a thing. Number 14. Plant companions to fight pests. You can protect your tomatoes naturally by planting a few friendly neighbors nearby, and this saves you from buying chemical pesticides. This practice is called companion planting, and it has been used by gardeners for generations. Basil is the classic partner for tomatoes. Its strong scent helps mask the tomato plants from certain pests, and as a bonus, you will have fresh basil right there for your kitchen. Marigolds are another great choice, and they are easy to grow from cheap or saved seeds. They are especially valued for helping deter tiny soil pests called nematodes that can damage tomato roots. Other useful companions include onions, garlic, and chives, whose pungent smell confuses and repels many bugs. The idea is to build a little ecosystem where your plants help protect each other instead of relying on store-bought sprays. If you have the seeds or can swap with a neighbor, it is a free layer of defense for your tomato patch. Number 15. Give them all the sunlight you can. This one is so simple that people overlook it, but it is completely free, and it can single-handedly transform your harvest. Tomatoes are sun worshippers, plain and simple. To produce a heavy crop of fruit, they need a bare minimum of 6 hours of direct sunlight a day, and 8 or more is even better. Before you plant anything, spend a day watching your yard, balcony, or patio, and notice which spots get the most uninterrupted sun. That is where your tomatoes belong. A plant tucked in the shade of a fence or a tree will grow tall and leafy, but give you only a handful of disappointing tomatoes, no matter how well you feed and water it. This is also where those free containers from earlier become a secret weapon. If the only sunny spot you have is a driveway or a corner of concrete, just grow your tomatoes in pots and move them right into the light. You can even shift them throughout the season to chase the sun as it changes. Free, easy, and absolutely essential for a big harvest. Number 16, remove lower leaves and water at the base. We've touched on disease prevention a few times, and this final tip ties it all together. Most of the diseases that take down tomato plants live in the soil and splash up onto the lowest leaves, so a couple of free habits can keep your plants thriving. Once your plant is established and around a foot or two tall, pinch off the lowest set of leaves, the ones closest to the ground. These bottom leaves are the most likely to get infected, and removing them creates a buffer zone between the soil and the rest of the plant. Combined with the mulch we talked about earlier, this dramatically cuts down the chance of disease spreading upward. The second habit is to always water at the base of the plant and keep the leaves as dry as possible. Wet leaves, especially overnight, are an open invitation for fungus and blight. Water in the morning, aim the hose at the roots, and let the sun keep the foliage dry. These two simple, completely free practices will keep your plants productive long after your neighbors have given up. And there you have it. Growing a mountain of tomatoes was never about how much money you spend or whether you have anyone to help you. It's about working smart with what you already have: free seeds, kitchen scraps, found materials, and a few simple habits that make all the difference. So this season, skip the expensive garden center run and give these tricks a try. your wallet, and your harvest will thank you. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips helpful, give this video a like and share it with a fellow gardener. It helps us create more great content. And if you want to see more videos from us, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.